I stood there, barefoot, mug of coffee in hand, not a care in the world. When I heard it, "You were surrounded. Step out with your hands where we can see them." My eyes blinked hard against the harsh morning sun, trying to make sense of what I was hearing. I squinted through the haze of early light and saw them 4 sheriff deputies crouched behind their squad cars, weapons drawn, parked right at the front gate of my ranch. I froze, holding that steaming cup of coffee like it was the most important thing in the world. My mind was racing. Is this a joke? Seriously, is this a prank? I thought. I didn't know whether to laugh or run inside and grab a pair of pants. But the voice came again, sharp and commanding, "Come down the steps slowly." I glanced around, the world feeling like it had shifted on its axis. And then, I saw her. There she was, standing with her arms folded, that smug look plastered across her face, as if this whole thing were her personal little show. Tammy Grayson, the HOA president from the neighborhood across the hill. A woman whose community barely touched my property line, yet here she was, pulling the strings behind this mess. Now, here's where things get really crazy. I don't even live in an HOA. I don't want anything to do with an HOA. I specifically made sure of that when I bought my 18-acre ranch. I don't need anyone telling me what kind of fence I can build or whether I can paint my barn red. This is my land, and I worked hard to make sure no HOA board could meddle in my life. But there she stood, Tammy Grayson, the one who called the cops, the one who was about to make my life a living hell. Let me back up. My name's Adam Mitchell. I'm 42, used to be a contractor before I sold my business last year and became the proud owner of this little piece of heaven. The plan was simple. I wanted peace. No loud neighbors, no leaf blowers at dawn, just open skies, fresh air, and a quiet life where I could raise my dogs, 2 labs, Max and Bella, and maybe get some chickens. So I found this place tucked away at the edge of the quiet town of Pine Ridge. I made sure it was outside the HOA's reach. My deed even had a non-HOA waiver on it. I hired a lawyer to double-check everything twice. Those first few weeks? Pure bliss. I set up my workshop, built a chicken coop, planted some vegetables, and even installed solar panels on the barn. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. My slice of freedom. But then, things got weird. At first, I thought it was some kid with a drone, just messing around. But then, that same white drone hovered at 7:05 a.m. 3 days in a row, circling like a vulture. On day 4, I had enough. I grabbed my BB gun and took it out of the sky. Didn't think much of it until an hour later, when there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find her, Tammy Grayson, clipboard in hand, all smiles like she'd just dropped by for a cup of coffee. "You must be the new neighbor," she said, that smug grin stretching wider. "We've had several complaints about noise and unauthorized structures on HOA-managed land." I blinked. "I'm not part of your HOA," I said. "I checked. Twice." She didn't flinch. "That's what your realtor told you. I'm sure we can work something out." I didn't respond to her letters. Didn't show up for the mandatory meeting she scheduled. I thought it'd blow over. But I seriously underestimated how much petty power one woman could have. She didn't stop. It didn't take long before I started getting fake fines for everything: landscaping violations, non-approved structures, even a complaint about my rooster crowing. And then the real fun started. My mail started showing up late, sometimes missing entirely. Packages were disappearing. I found my garden trampled, footprints leading from the road straight through my carrots. So I did what anyone would do: installed security cameras. That's when I saw it. Tammy's golf cart parked up on the hill at 3 a.m. I filed a report, but the sheriff told me it was probably just a misunderstanding. At that point, I was beginning to lose hope. It felt like no one believed me. I wasn't part of their community, so I was an outsider. I'd have to fight this on my own. That's when I called up my lawyer, Joseph Stein, a sharp guy from Austin who had a reputation for going after people who thought they could get away with anything. Joseph reviewed everything and smiled. "She's got nothing on you, Adam. But if she's using HOA resources to harass you, that's something we can hit her for." We started documenting everything. I built a tall fence, posted no trespassing signs, and even put in a mailbox with a lock. I was ready to sit tight and wait for her next move. And that next move? It was bold. She filed a formal complaint with the county, accusing me of HOA commercial structures on my property. Solar panels and chicken coop were apparently violating HOA aesthetic standards. Never mind that I wasn't part of the HOA. That's when the sheriff showed up with a courtesy notice, the whole thing feeling like a bad joke. But there was nothing funny about it. Things escalated fast. Now, I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what kind of mess I was about to walk into. I was trying to stay calm, keep my head cool, but when one of the officers asked about illegal equipment in my shed, I nearly lost it. Explosives, he said. I nearly dropped my coffee. What in the world was she trying to pull? I calmly told them to check the shed. Go ahead, I said. It's locked tight, but it's just tools, nothing more. They didn't find anything, of course. Just my chainsaw and lawnmower. But by then, I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding. Tammy had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to take it anymore. That's when things really took a turn. I was out front talking to one of the deputies when I saw smoke coming from behind my barn. It wasn't thick yet, but it was enough to set off every alarm in my head. I bolted back there to find my dog Max tied up near the backup generator, struggling to break free from his leash. Someone had tried to set the thing on fire right next to my dog. I couldn't believe it. Someone had tried to kill my dog, my Max, with an arson attempt. I got him free, doused the fire with water, and barely kept my composure. The deputies backed off a little after that. They started asking questions. One of them even said, "This is starting to look like criminal mischief." You think? I wasn't about to let it slide. I called Joseph again, and we filed a civil suit against Tammy and the HOA. We were done with the legal back and forth. This was personal now. We started gathering all the evidence, including the footage of the attempted arson. We went to the press, and that's when things really exploded. The story went viral. People who had been targeted by Tammy and her HOA started reaching out, sharing their own horror stories. The investigation started gaining traction. We dug deeper, and that's when we found out just how big this thing really was. Tammy wasn't just harassing Mesh, was part of a larger operation, a land-grabbing scheme. It turns out Tammy was using HOA funds to hire people like Alan Hinson, who had been trying to intimidate me into selling. The more I uncovered, the more I realized just how far they'd gone to push people off their land. Eventually, the sheriff raided Tammy's office. They found everything: drones, burner phones, surveillance logs. Everything was connected. Tammy got arrested. But that wasn't the end of it. Even after her arrest, I still wasn't safe. There were others involved, more people, a whole network, and they were watching me. I got more threats. Someone even left a photo of me sleeping on my porch. But I wasn't backing down. I went public again, and the whole thing blew up even further. By the time the dust settled, Tammy was in jail, and Alan was on the run. The media caught on. Everyone wanted to know the full story. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about everyone who had ever been targeted by an HOA like this. And now? Well, I'm still here. My ranch is quiet again. Max and Bella are safe, and I'm keeping my guard up. The cameras are still rolling, and I'm still checking the gate every night. Because if there's one thing I learned, it's this: peace is something you have to fight for. And if you don't stand your ground, you'll lose it. So what about you? Have you ever had issues with an HOA or felt like your property rights were being violated? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.